So I've had a few requests to show some different joints, like a miter joint, half lap, dovetails. So I thought I'd take a tutorial here just to do a bunch of different joints. So let's see what we can do. We'll learn a new tool or two here as well. So let's do a miter. It's a pretty simple one that a lot of people request. I'm going to draw a board here. We'll make him about 3 by 6, let's say. We'll pull them up to 3/4 inch thick, and then we'll group. Alright, so we know that when we do a miter, it's going to go from corner to corner in a square, right? So each side will be 3 inches. So we're going to do a guide here, and we'll do a point in 3 inches. And then what we'll do here is we'll just take the pencil. First we'll go into our group so we can draw on this face. We'll take our pencil here, and we'll go corner to corner. And then we'll pull all the way through there, and once you see that, you click, and then it'll disappear. So there's our 45. And we'll come back out, delete this guide. Now we could just draw another board over here and do another 45 miter, but we might as well just copy this board, right? We already have it almost ready to go. So let's do our copy. Bring him over here. And then I'm going to flip get the two facing. So now the last step is we need to rotate him, right? He needs to be down here so he can plug in. And we haven't shown this tool yet, but we're going to use the rotate tool. Just this one right here. So the rotate tool is pretty interesting. Using this one, you can rotate on any axes. So you see here, if we rotate it, we're going to be rotating around the blue axis, which is this one here. And this is kind of confusing to think about how you're actually rotating around this axis, but the protractor here will change color depending on which axis it thinks it wants to go. There's the red, and you can get the green in here somewhere. If you're close, at the corner on the back, right there. So I'll do a couple examples, and I'll explain how this works in a second, but you'll see. So when we go here, rotate this way. If we were to get it on red, we're rotating this way. So we want blue in this case. So the way you do rotate is, your first point you click is the point you're going to rotate around. So we want to rotate around this point, click once. And then you say, you give it sort of an area where you want to start rotating from. So it doesn't really matter which of these points we pick, but I just sort of pick a point that's straight out from where I started. So I'm going to go there, click, and now when you move the mouse, it wants to rotate. And we'll get our hints. We're going to stay here on this axis. Click again. And now we're done. So then we go back to move. We can move this right over here to this guy. There we go. So there's our miter. So what if we wanted to do a half lap? So I'm just, instead of redrawing all these pieces, I'm just going to undo back before I drew my miter. I'll keep that guide there though. So for a half lap, we're going to go in here. We're just going to draw a pencil line right across. And we're going to pull down half the width of this, right? So this is 3/4. So we're going to come down 3/8. I'll type that in, make sure it's accurate. There we go. Come out here, get rid of this guide. Make a copy of this guy. Let's see, we'll see which of these flips works. Red does not. Green? Nope. These blue. There we go. So that's going to lap that way. And then we'll use our rotate tool again. Let's say we want to rotate around this corner. Like that. And then we'll just move it into position. We want to make sure that we're lined up there. So what I'll do is I'll move that again. This time I'll grab it from one of the points I can reference. So if I grab it from here, I can reference it to that point there. Make sure they're lined up. There we go. So that's our half lap. Now it's a shame we build this beautiful drawing and then you can't really ever see it again. Well, there's a view that lets you see inside here. If we go up to view, face style, and if we go X-ray, it actually lets us see inside of our models, and we kind of get some hints. See, these lines are nice dark black because they're outside edges, but these ones are sort of a gray because they're inside. So it's just kind of a neat way to see your joinery when you make it all. And go back, just go face down, go X-ray, turn that back off. Alright, let's try, how about a tongue and groove? So actually what we'll do here is I'll just undo a few steps, go back. And actually I don't need this guide this time. So tongue and groove here, we're going to come down the length. And it's about a third of the width, so let's come down here a quarter. Let's come down here. And then we'll come up a quarter. And we'll use that as a reference now. We'll go inside here and take our rectangle. Draw it right there. And then we're going to push pull in a quarter of an inch. So get it started, in the direction you want to go, but then just type 1/4. So there's that. In this case, I didn't duplicate this guy before I started, so I'll just draw a new one. And he was 3x6. Oops, wrong way. So we'll go 6x3. Come up 3/4. Group. Oops. Quarters. And we'll group them together. And here's a neat little trick. These two guides we actually want. We can reuse these guides. But if we move this guy over here, it doesn't really do us any good because the guides are sort of stuck over here. So if we put him back, and if we hold shift and we select with our arrow tool here, so you get the plus minus. So if you click one thing and hold shift, now you can select additional things. So we'll select this guide and this guide. You can see they turn blue. Then we'll go to our move tool. And we'll actually move the guides with it. It just gives us some room to come over here and look. So we're going to go inside. We're going to take our rectangle. Try the same thing, but this time we're going to push and pull out a quarter. And we'll get rid of these guides. And we'll move him over here. There we go, there's our little tongue groove. And if we want, they can look at the X-ray. See it running down the length there. Pretty neat. So along the same lines, what if we wanted to do a spline in there instead of a tongue groove? So we'll actually get rid of this guy, and we're going to duplicate him because he already has a groove in him. Oops. Press Alt there, duplicate. And then once again, we'll do our flip along, so we need to flip him over to face the other way. So let's try red, and red does it. So I'm going to start by bringing him over here, back. We sort of have a gap down the middle there. So we'll want to create a new face and push pull it all the way through to make our spline. So I'll just use this as sort of the box to size my spline. So I'll make a rectangle here. And then I'll just move this guy temporarily out of the way. Come around. And then we'll push pull down here. And make a group. Turn back around and then move this guy over. There we go. Spline. If we take a look with our X-ray, kind of neat to see. Alright, so how about, turn that off. How about a, let's say we do a little rabbet groove here. So let's delete all these guys. Let's start over here. Make a little block, let's say 6x6 and 3/4 inch thick. And let's say we'll make his matching peak. Let's group this guy first. Group. And we'll build his little matching guy over here. We'll pull him up 6 inches. And then So let's do our little rabbit here. Let's say we're going to take a half, so we'll just come across here. We'll go 3/8 by 3/8. Oops, so I forgot to go inside the group first. Gotta make sure we get inside of our group and then draw 3/8 by 3/8. And we can just push and pull this right through. And then we'll do the same thing on this guy, in this corner. 3/8 by 3/8. Push and pull. There we go. Now we have a couple options, right? We can put him there, or we can put him up there if we wanted to, depending on what your usage is for that piece. Alright, so how about, we did a dado on our bookshelf, so how about a blind dado? One that's stopped on one face. Well, we're going to come in here, and it doesn't really matter where we start this, we'll just start from the midpoint to be easy. So instead of going all the way through like this, 3/4 by 6, let's say we go 3/4 by 5. So I'll type that in, 3/4 by 5. Oops, and I forgot to go inside the group again. Make sure we're in there first. We'll go 3/4 by 5. And then we'll just push and pull down 1/4 of an inch. 1/4. There's the stop there. And then on this guy, basically just do the same thing. Go right here and we'll draw 5 by 3/4, except now we'll pull him down 1/4 of an inch. And then we just move him into position right there. So from that side, it looks like we've got a butt joint, but we really know it's actually a dado. We can look and see with our x-ray down inside there and see where it stops. Pretty cool. Alright, let's get a little more complex. How about a sliding dovetail? And for this one, let's turn x-ray off. Let's actually get this guy into position first, and we'll use one set of guides to kind of cut both these at the same time. So let's zoom in here. Now, one way to do this would be to you can actually draw your guides at an angle, right? You could draw your guide and then actually use the rotate tool on them to get them to exactly the standard dovetail angles, 1 to 6, 1 to 8. But in my case, I just sort of use Sketchup as a reference. Like, I want to do a dovetail here, but I don't worry about getting the exact measurements for the angles. I'll do that, when I'm actually in the shop cutting it. So what I'll do to kind of approximate, I guess, a 1 to 8 is I'll come in. Let's draw some guides that just define where our upper piece is. And let's come in, what is this at, 2 1/4, so let's come in an 1/8. And then we'll come back here an 1/8. And then let's go another 1/8. And this will make sense in a minute here. Another 1/8. Okay. So for our dovetail, like I said, I just kind of use the guides as an approximation of the angle. Let me do one more, because we don't actually want this to go all the way through the board. Let's have it go in. Let's go up 1/4. And we'll have this go up 1/2. Okay. Let's go into this guy. So like I said, I choose these guides as sort of an approximation. So I'll go here, 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 here. Right, looks like a little dovetail there. It's approximately maybe 1 to 8 or so. And then what we do is we just push-pull this guy all the way through. All the way through there. Then we come back to this guy. And we draw our pencil. And we need him, we actually have to cut out, right? He's going to be the tail, so we're going to cut out this part. So we're going to come here, here, and over. And then here, here over. We'll push pull him through, and we'll push pull this guy through. Let's get rid of these guys, and get rid of these guys. And we can just move them. And of course, when we move it, we can just pull right through this model, but it's going to end right there. There we go, little slide dovetail. Of course, in reality, the slide dovetail right has a bit of a taper, 1/64 of an inch or something like that, but I don't worry about trying to draw that with Sketchup. Just something I know in the shop I'll have to do. And if I look at this with the X-ray, you can see our neat dovetail down inside there. Pretty cool, huh? All right, how about, let's do a mortise and tenon. Let's turn off our X-ray, delete these. Let's mortise and tenon say a couple posts together. So we'll make this 1.5 by 1.5. And let's say 6 inches high, maybe. Oops. 6. And we'll group. And let's draw some guides here. We'll have our mortise be about 1/3 of the width. So we made this 1.5, so we'll come in 1/2 inch here, and 1/2 inch from this side. And we'll come down 1/4. And we know our rail that's going to go across here is also going to be 1.5, so we're going to go 1.5 minus 1/4, right? So 1.25 there. And that kind of defines our opening there for our mortise, so we'll just bring up our rectangle, and we'll draw him there. And let's say we're going to make him 1 inch deep, so I'll start push pulling, go 1, enter. Okay, oops. 1, enter. And then we'll come on here and we'll draw the rail, and we'll just draw him right off this face. We know he's going to be 1.5 by 1.5. And then we're going to push pull out to 6. And we're going to group. And we're going to get that same trick as before, because we actually want these same guides. So once we have him selected, we're going to hold shift, get this guide, this one, and this one. And then we'll move them all at the same time. We got to move over here so we can see what we're doing. And go into here and draw another rectangle. And we're going to push pull out 1 inch. There we go. There's our tenon. So now let's delete these guides. And we'll just grab a reference point like this corner and match them up with this corner. There we go. And once again, we'll go to our X-ray, look inside there and see. Look at that. Sort of mortise and tenon there. All right. So how about the big one? Let's do some dovetails. And dovetails are going to rely a lot on that. The one I did for the sliding dovetail, where I did about 6 guides. We'll sort of do the same thing here. So let's say we'll bring this. Let's make a board. 3/4 by, let's say, let's do 6 by 3/4. And we'll make him 4 inches tall. And we'll group, and I'll do a copy and a rotate here. And you can actually, you know how to move, you can press Alt on the Mac or Control on Windows to copy. You can do the same thing with the rotate tool. So if I press that there, I'll get a plus. So I'm going to pick my starting point, pick my ending point, and then when I rotate, make a copy of it. Like that. So when this is all said and done, I'm going to combine these like this. Right? So I'm going to put him where I want him to be when he's done, and then I'm going to slide him back. Let's get him out of the way there. Around there. And he's actually going to have the tails. So I'm going to look at it like this, let's say. So I'll start with my guides here. And let's say I'll have the highest. Let's start at 1/4. And then I'll come down 1/4 plus 1/8. And then I'll leave and a little bit of a gap between there, so I'll leave an eighth and another eighth. So maybe 3/8 between them, and then come down one more eighth like that. Okay, and then just like we can copy our model pieces, we can copy our guides too. So let's copy this guide, bring him down here, and I shouldn't have measured this up so that these are even, but just to be quick here, I'll just copy like this. Copy, and I'll go /2 to make 2 copies of that, and then I'll put one in the center there for me as well. So notice it's giving me the guides here for the pins and the guides here for the tails at the same time. Let's actually come here and we'll cut our tails first. I'm going to come up in this. And up here. That. And then we're going to pull these through. There. There's our tails. And then we're going to go into this guy, into our pins. And we need to do the opposite, right? So we need to come up here. Well, actually, you're sort of doing the same angle, so you're going from low to high. So we get the same thing here. And then we need to push and pull where the pins, or where the tails would be, or where the solid parts are here. We need to push and pull those out here. So we're going to come in here and 3/4. And 3/4. 3/4. 3/4. That's right. And then we're going to move this guy in place. And I'll pick a point we can reference like right here. There we go. Get rid of those guides. And we'll look in X-ray and take a look. Yeah, looks pretty good. So there we go, some common joints with Sketchup. And if I missed any important ones, someone let me know, and I'll do another addendum with that one as well.